Welcome back, Iron Road Podcast. My name is Ian DiGiacomo, along with my co-host Eric Prush. Eric looks vibrant today, as always. The mustache is peak.
It's true.
Hair is glorious, luscious. How you doing, buddy? Talk to me.
I'm exhausted, dude. I'm totally exhausted. You know, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. I've got a wife, a little girl. These things matter. They
Right.
re-matter. As you have children. Just came from helping out at a class party. So it was me and some other poor lady the teachers, and then some other lady who looked like she was from a different planet than me. Uh, and I'm just trying to get the kids all psyched up and get them to act crazy, and everyone else is trying to get them to calm down. So it's a fun dynamic, you know. It's
Yeah.
a there's definitely no such thing as a male pre-K teacher or class aide. They don't exist.
Well,
There,
Schwarzenegger.
yes, but he was only kindergarten. You know what I mean? So
That's
pre-K,
true.
this is just like it's a very gynocentric world. So when you walk in as a dude, all of the boys are like, he's one of us. One of us. And they come to life and begin to create mischief, which I personally enjoy. But yeah, man, woke up this morning and I honestly, it was like an act of God. I woke up at like 2:30 and just felt like complete shit. And thank God my training partner texted me at 3:30, bro, I'm sick. I can't make it to the gym. And I went back to bed and woke up at 7:45.
Nice.
Like I think if I had trained this morning, it would have been like it would have pushed. I'm like fighting it, but it would have pushed me off the edge. If I
Yes.
had trained this morning
Agreed.
on like 4 or 5 hours sleep, I would have been done by the end of today or by tomorrow morning. So, uh, thank God my friend is sick. No, but in all seriousness, I do have to. I'm very glad to be back lifting again. But it's like I told you last week, I'm fighting this battle in my head where it's like, okay, if I train, if I used to go train after I dropped my daughter off from school. So I drop her off at like 8:50, and then from there I could go like right to the gym and be done training by like 10:15, 10:30. But it cuts into my workday. Now it
Yep.
doesn't cut into my workday, but I just can't. I'm gonna keep trying, but I can't get myself to like settle down to go to sleep by 8. I could do it for 9 or 10. I could sleep
Yeah.
10 to 5 and train jujitsu at 6. You know what I mean? Or lift at 6.
Sure.
But my training partner can't train at 6, and my wife usually likes to go train at about 7:15. So I'm like cutting it like a little bit tight there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's just like by like 1:30, if I don't get a decent night's sleep, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not one of those tough guys that says he can get by on no sleep. Maybe I could if I didn't train, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
when I'm
Yeah.
pushing it in the gym, man, dude, I am like I literally like need a nap, and then it's like, okay, what's more productive? Like falling into a coma at 1 p.m. and having to come back to life for the second half of my day, or starting my day a little bit late but not running out of momentum. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a weird thing for sure.
It's a tough balance to strike, and I think, both of us probably deal with a lot of clients with the same issue where they're just like, "When do I train?" You know, I don't have the time to do it when I feel my best, but if I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it at all, it's either late night or early morning or, smack in the middle of the day. I was doing for a while, I was doing the noon session, which I love it. That's my peak performance, like
Okay.
noon to 4 is like where I shine in the gym, but it just chews your and also, besides chewing your day up and breaking your momentum, it just stops everything you're doing. If you're digging
Yeah.
into a project for work, you're writing
Yes.
programs, like, it just derails your focus, and I have a hard time switching gears personally from
Yes.
task to task.
I'm kind of glad you
So,
said that. I feel less bad about
yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu
No,
culture,
it's real.
the like jiu-jitsu classes are usually at either 6 a.m., noon, or 6 p.m. And for years I trained at noon. And dude, it was just so hard to go back to work after training from 12 to 1:30, to
I
like
get it.
switch the hat
I get
again.
it.
And then it's like, okay, I'm working, now I'm training, now I'm back to work, and now I'm getting ready for bed. It's just much easier for me to get training done before I work. It's
Yeah.
just infinitely easier. And like I could not go today. I'm going to have to do things a little different. I'm going to train before I teach jujitsu. I'm going to just like get a workout in at 4 o'clock, which
Okay.
I never do and I don't want to do. But like
Yeah.
in general, I do want to get it done. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
absolutely want to get it done, and it sucks, but like you said, there's logistical elements to it. Like you have the time you have, and that's it. Obviously, working for myself, I have a degree of schedule flexibility, and so I can, move things around. But there is the question of productivity, and you have to know yourself. Like I feel
Yes.
great after I train early. It's just like it's nice to get like a leg workout done early in the morning because everything is easy after that. You're just kind of like cruising
That
after
it's
like a
the worst
max
part of
effort.
your day.
Yeah, after
Yeah.
like a max effort leg day, you just kind of go home and everything. The volume on everything is kind of turned down a little bit. Like you accomplish something really big early, and now you could just move on and just do whatever the hell you got to do. But I definitely hate feeling like shit. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just I tell myself like sometimes that it makes me a pussy. I'm like, man, you got guys that are fucking special forces operators, and I'm like, okay, but that's not me. I'm not cut from that cloth. Like I'm an athlete, not a soldier. And
Yeah,
like
like you
you know what I
become like an
mean?
Italian all of a sudden when you're talking your inner monologue is Italian.
Yes, it is. It's a self-hating Italian guy. Yes, precisely. My
It's
inner
but
monologue
heavy Long Island
is
accent.
a very angry Italian man from Nassau County. Who said you fucking pussy? All right, fucking no special forces operators. Um, This
Operators.
is, but like, I just hate feeling like shit, and like
Yeah.
I would much rather redo my life to not feel like shit than to just tolerate feeling like shit forever.
Yes. Do you think that you'll have a change of heart when the sun is up earlier and you have like more daylight for longer? Does that help you? Because me, when I was training, personal training for years and years in the gyms, I would get up and get to the gym and go into the gym before the sun came up. And the gym that I worked at was in a basement. And then I would train all day, work all day, never leave the building, and then leave when sun was down
Oof,
already. So I would never, I was like a
oof.
rat. I never saw the light of day. So that it kind of like wore, it just started to wear on me and kind of like depress me a little bit. So it being cold in the Northeast, you spreading yourself really thin with your family, your work, your training, you know, you're a human being, dude. You don't have to be like a hardo. And also, those guys on social media who are hardos aren't fucking real.
It's
They're not
so
real.
much of it is
So
fake.
let's just be honest. Like the Jocko Willink 3:45, AM picture of his watch and a puddle of sweat. Like, all right, bro, come on. Like,
I agree with that. It's also like if you are someone whose job is to be like a commando, literally you just train all day. That's your job. You're
yeah,
not like
that'd be great.
yeah, you're not doing another job. Like
I
you're
would
like
love that.
you're a professional athlete basically. You don't get
Pretty
paid
much.
professional athlete
Just
money,
a
but
deadly
you got to
one.
do your endurance, you have to lift your weights, you have to practice on the range. And
Yeah.
then like when you go get deployed, that's when there's like sleep deprivation and everything. But at that point, you're
Yeah.
not training as much.
Sure.
Right, so like it's the different demand. It's not like you're keeping the same
It's
training
a trade
schedule,
off.
when you're deployed somewhere as it is when you're at Fort Bragg, whatever they call it now,
Yeah.
since they got rid of the Confederate names. Like it's just not the same thing. But
Yeah.
definitely been
Absolutely.
struggling with it. I'm trying to force myself to adapt to going to bed early, but it's tough, dude. Are anyone listening to this that's a dad, man, with two kids? My son is insane. He's about to be 18 months old, and like when he like that before he goes to bed, he's insane. Like he's just exhausted, overtired, destroying everything.
Yes.
So it's not like it's quiet and relaxing at that time of day.
No. It's the most
It's like
chaotic.
it's the most awful part of my day is from 6 p.m. to 7:30 every
Yeah.
day. It's awful.
Yeah.
Like if I could do a drug that would wear off and then I could just go to sleep, I would do it. Just give me like a 90-minute, but like shelf life, get it in and out of my system because it's
Interesting.
that brutal. It's
Yeah.
that fucking brutal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so it's not like it's a relaxing roll into sleep. Like if everybody was chilling, everyone could brush their own teeth and wash their own faces or whatever, then sure, at 7 o'clock I could start toning it down and tell my daughter, hey, go get ready for bed. And she does it. But
Sure.
she doesn't do that. That's not the way that it is, you
Which
know?
the sad part is it's bittersweet because that part is coming. At
Yes, it
some
is.
point, they're gonna fuck off and not need you anymore, and I know it's really stressful now, but I keep reminding myself in the tough
Yeah.
times that I have a 3-year-old and a 2-month-old, and when we're really sleep deprived and we're not doing so well, I'm like, "Well, you know what? I'll blink and he'll be in college.
Yeah,
So let me
for
just
sure.
suck this up for a little bit and do this." But I give you a lot of credit, dude, because if I've said this before, if I had to train at 5 in the morning or not train, I might not train. And I love to train. It's my whole life, and it's been my life since, what, 18 years old probably when I started
Yeah,
this career. So I give you a ton of credit for getting up and pulling that Band-Aid off and going to train early. And yes, the training partner helps. Yes, the accountability helps, but it takes grit. It takes a lot of determination to do that. And I respect you because I am not a morning person and I would much rather train in the afternoon or even evening. I've been training at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. sometimes now because my son will go to sleep, and that's like
yeah,
the
yeah,
peace and quiet where
yeah.
I have my garage gym, I can step in, and then I can, after 20 minutes or so, I'm finally in the rhythm, in the zone, and then I can go for as long as I want uninterrupted, and that's a beautiful thing. But then I'm chewing into my morning sleep. So you
Yes.
really have to,
You gotta
you're
pick and
kind of
choose.
moving these chess pieces around to figure out what works best for you. But you know, also the winter can't bode well for your immune system and your overall
Oh,
health,
yeah, I mean,
besides
dude, it's
being spread
still
so thin.
it's this weird thing where it was horribly cold here.
Yeah.
Like, last weekend was the first time I ever walked. I have we've spoken about this. I have a 120-pound Mastiff, and he does very, very well in the cold.
Nice.
In the summer, he will literally quit on a walk. Like, he knows how to go home, and he will
Okay.
just stop walking. It was so cold last Saturday. The wind was so horrible that it was the first time I saw him try to go home in the cold before I was like
Wow.
done giving him exercise. Like, it was so biting and it was so cold. And then it goes from that to where it's like 40 degrees. So the snow's
Yeah.
melting, you know what I mean? You might be cracking your window a little bit. And then the next day it's like 10 with a real feel of -12. And you're
It's
just like,
crazy.
fuck, man. Like, and even little things, dude, like go to the gym, right? At 5:15, 5:30. You leave the gym drenched in sweat. I never think to like bring a change of clothes because I'm not like going to work. You're
Yeah.
gonna get fucking hypothermia in your car, dude. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you get in your car with a drenched t-shirt full of sweat, bro. Like, it is no joke. Like, you are shivering on the
Yeah.
on the way home. Like, our buddy John that we used to talk about, he used to always come to the gym with a spare t-shirt because he was a real heavy sweater, and it was the same thing. It was like, man, you're just cooked from sweating so much, and then you go outside, boom, it's literally -10. Like,
Yeah.
and that's
Smart move.
clinging to your chest. You get in your car. I don't care if you have a spaceship. That thing is not going to warm up for a little bit. Like, it's just weird little stuff like that that adds up. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whatever.
Now
Like you said, you're going to blink, and your kids are going to be in college,
yeah.
and then you're going to miss being needed so much. And I'm definitely keenly aware of that. You learn that lesson with the oldest. Like, my daughter's 5, and there are definitely certain things that she doesn't necessarily need help with anymore, or
Yeah.
little phases that she was in that she's kind of like out of, and you're like, oh man, that sucks. I was actually really enjoying that, and
Yeah.
like, you don't really
Yep.
have control over that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I definitely tell myself, hey, I wanted this, which is true, and B, by and large, I do enjoy it, uh, and it. I would imagine it's got to really suck to be 40 and have like really nothing to live for. Like, if you're just like living for your career or to like go get a pump, like, I guess maybe that's okay, but like, everyone I know that didn't get married and have kids, they started getting up to some weird shit, dude. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
All
Like,
the
the
yeah.
really weird shit.
All the normal novelties wear off, like all those things that you get into, you go through phases and you go through these cyclical things, but how much fun can you have for so long until you just gets bored and you have no
Yes.
purpose?
Yes.
Children give you a purpose. So I'm a wholehearted believer in the family dynamic. You need
Of
children. You
course.
need to, enjoy the miracle. It's like when people ask the meaning of life is to raise your children. Like, yeah, I'm driving my career hard and that's satisfying. And when I get a win in my career, a new client, new account, whatever, is satisfying. But there's nothing better than spending quality time with your kids and raising them and making sure they have your morals and values. And when they do something because they see you do it, like my son Dominic is like, "I daddy," and he'll be like eating his rice and chicken bowl, and he's on my computer, playing around. Like, that's just satisfying to me. Like, I'm like, he wants to be like me. I want to be a role model for him. It's not like I'm, screwing off and being a deadbeat dad. So it's nice that the hard work does pay off and your kids will appreciate it because they will be better people for it. So
Yeah,
that's why I keep telling myself when the going gets tough because it's hard. It's hard.
it is.
You and I are both entrepreneurs. We're business people trying to build our business. And like you said before with the whole gym thing, like it's hard to switch gears for tasks and you have more flexibility as a business owner, but your time is your own. If you don't get that task done, it's not getting done. Like you
Yes.
can't delegate. We don't have teams of 10, 20 people where you can just say, oh, Johnny will do that shit. No, we have to do every single thing for now until it grows.
Yes.
And you can be as flexible as you want, but the more flexible you are, meaning dicking off, you're not going to get things done, sadly.
Yes.
So you have to be very tight and very conscious with your time. And I did something recently. I was, listening to this business audiobook, and there was it's like a time inventory, just like looking at your schedule and seeing how long each task takes you. And dude, when you take inventory, like looking at your diet and you write down your diet for a full
Mhm.
week if you don't really know what's going on, and you see all the mistakes you're making or your budget. You download your statements and you go through your whole budget and you see how much Amazon bullshit you buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really it's shocking. It's honestly shocking. It's you have to get your life in order, and all this takes a little bit of self-reflection. But you're as a business person, as a father, as all the things that you and I are, making sure you're not spending too much time on dumb tasks is critical. I think it's
Yes.
critical.
And it's very easy to fall into that because that's literally, it seems like what the economy is designed to do. Like,
Yep.
go on Instagram to post your content, and then before you know it, you could get stuck scrolling for 10 minutes, right?
You're consuming
Yeah,
content. You're
yeah.
not
Or
creating it anymore.
you watch maybe a YouTube video that's actually educational. Like sometimes before I go teach jujitsu, I might watch a video on something that I'm going to teach just to make sure I've got everything kind of brushed up on,
Yeah.
and then before you know it, the algorithm suggests you something that you'd like, and now you're watching a documentary on Predator that you've seen 10 times, and you're like, fuck. Like I
Yeah.
already know how the movie. What do you mean? Like I've already seen this before. And like little things like that, like they really start to add up. There's no
Yep.
denying it. Uh, it actually, I feel like it doesn't take as much time as people think. At least if you're like reasonably intelligent, to be successful, assuming that the time is managed correctly. Like,
Yep.
if you're I guess it's like training, like, you don't need to be in the gym for 2.5 hours to have a really, really good physique or to get in shape, but if you're not careful, you will be. You will grant yourself too much rest periods. You
Yep.
will wind up, like, doing bullshit exercises that you don't actually need to do, and then before you know it, training's a 3-hour endeavor, and now maybe you're dreading it because you don't wanna be in the gym for 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
it's the same thing, like, if you're not disciplined with it, and like, look, I'm a very kind of creative person. I'm not someone who, even though I love diet and I love training, I'm not someone who's by nature like the most organized person, and
Sure.
that's the hardest part. Like I enforcing structure on myself has been the hardest part of doing
Yes.
everything like solo. It's and you start to realize as you get older, even in like sports, man, like, you could look at people and say, well, that guy's not that talented, but yeah, a lot of times people are successful just because they do the thing, right?
Okay.
So you could look
Yep.
back and say, I could do better than that guy. Yeah, maybe you could, but you're not. So there's something to be said for that, because that's kind of like the
Yeah.
main qualification. Like if you don't do what you're the thing okay, someone's just going to get your audience or get money in the field you want to be in just because they're willing to do it. Like, period.
Yep.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, they're willing to be more organized and more targeted, and like just get things done. And I've always been someone who's been very creatively talented, but I've always felt like I've underperformed in business or in other stuff. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Part of the reason is I tend to overthink things. I want things to be perfect, and then I get lost in it and I come back to it later or whatever.
Yep.
So before we went live, you were saying, hey, I really like your content lately. And it's just more of me developing the approach of just get it done.
Just keep doing it.
Just get it done.
Yeah. And
Like, don't even like double, like, if I think, oh, is this going to be good? I might go from posting 3 times a day to 1 time a day, because I put it
dude, that's
down
what I
and
do.
I
That's what I
put it
do.
down. I walk away from it. Oh, I'll give it another look. And then before you know it, you spent the amount of time you would have spent on 3 posts on 1 post. And then nothing happens with that post anyway. doesn't matter.
Story of my
And then
life.
and then
Story of
and
my
then
life.
it like it's so it's very it's a hugely everyone needs to be coached differently, ourselves included. Like
Sure.
I need to be told to shut the fuck up and go do the thing.
Okay.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
know that within that, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Other
Yeah.
people need to be told to fucking slow down and think a little bit more. Okay.
Yes.
I'm not, I need to be told, shut up and go get it done. And once I just say, just do it, once I just tell myself, check off the box, I usually do a pretty good job, you know?
Okay.
And in my mind, it feels like I'm settling, like I'm slacking. You know what I mean? Like I'm just doing it. It's not perfect, but usually it does a good enough job, right? And
Yeah.
again, you will refine that process over time to eventually where what was previously just checking the box now might actually be pretty damn good.
Yes. And there's a lot of adages or slogans from like Silicon Valley and certain entrepreneurs where they just ship it. They just start they if they say move fast and break stuff and all that practice, you're gonna get better anyway. But if you keep putting stuff out, you can reflect on it when it's in the past retroactively. Then you can
Yeah.
get better as you go along. But if you tinker for too long on the same piece of content or whatever product you're making, you're just not gonna get better that fast. So you wanna just keep putting it out, get some feedback, and then keep adjusting. But you gotta move fast and you gotta ship it. You just gotta get it out because I do the same thing. And then also with you, when you're so tired, I don't know, this is how I operate. When I'm floored and I didn't sleep at all, my like a task that should take 15 minutes takes an hour and a half.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm dozing, dazing. I'm just like I can't get it together. So, it's just tough. It's definitely tough, especially when you're the solopreneur and you have to get it all done for now. But
Yes.
I think those days are numbered, my friend. I think we're headed for some bigger things, and I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, for sure. And I wanted to switch this and to actually talk a little bit about training because I think it
Yeah,
connects to what you're saying here. Um, I was listening to I was reading a couple different things. I mean, I'm always reading about training. Uh, there's two things that caught me. One was Ronnie Coleman, and the other was Jay Cutler. Ironically, talking about like how they achieved like balance in their physiques or in their training. And Ronnie Coleman said that he didn't directly train arms for years because his arms were so freakish that it was like overpowering his physique. And Jay Cutler barely trained legs for years because his legs were so freakish. And it got me thinking about like time, training economy, and the way that if you know your body, if you know like how you respond to training, what your weak points are, what they aren't, how you could actually cut a lot of time out of your training and get better results. So like I've been doing upper lower total splits. And
okay.
whenever I go all in on training and train everything equally, what always happens is my legs grow way too fast. And I if
You
I'm if
mentioned
I'm
that.
if I'm 230, I have the legs of a 250-pound man and the upper body of a 210-pound man. And it's very frustrating because like, jiu-jitsu is more of an upper body sport in a lot of respects. And also like you don't want to have the same weak points forever. And it got me thinking like I do believe in training each muscle group twice a week. How could I get away with doing that while still training only 3 days a week and addressing my weaknesses? And I thought to myself, maybe I'll just do upper lower upper. Just do lower body 1 day a week until my upper body catches up.
Okay.
You know
Okay.
you know what I mean?
You s
Like
Yeah.
just crush upper body 2 days a week, hit legs on a Wednesday, and just maintain until my upper body catches up, because my legs grow so much, and it's like, when you think about it, like, it also affects, like, your eating, like, if your legs keep growing, you're eating all this food, it's going to the body parts that don't need it sometimes. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not like your body's like, "Oh,
Splinters.
wow, well, these arms are lagging. Let's divert some of these calories to the biceps." That's not how this works,
Yeah.
right?
No.
And so now to get the upper body of a guy that actually looks 230, you're gonna have to eat like a guy that's 250,
Yep.
and it's a
Yep.
lot of food. You know what I
Or
mean?
switch your emphasis, like you mentioned. Switch the
Yes.
emphasis, which I like that a lot, that
Yeah.
idea.
And there were times when I've trained that way, and I actually felt like it was super beneficial. Like, just instead of doing upper lower, I was like, dude, I just don't need this second leg day. Like my legs just get so big so fast. Again, relative to my, I'm not saying I'm fucking Jay Cutler here, but relative
Are you?
to my upper body,
Yeah.
and it's like I might as well put a little bit more effort into something. And truthfully, part of it's like vanity. Like as I'm posting my workouts online, I'm like, God damn, I look so small, but I'm 225 pounds. Like
Yeah.
it's just my arms look small. Like my legs look good. Like my legs look clearly look like I train. And I'm like, I don't think I need to be beating my knees up as much as I beat them up if my
Yeah.
legs are going to grow so easy.
I think it's a phenomenal approach, honestly, for you. That's a really, the self reflection is the hardest part, especially when you're a coach, because you'll create a program and then change it 5 minutes later. So it's hard to really
Yes.
land on an approach that'll work for you, especially when you're doing it yourself. But do you feel like it's your upper body as a whole, or just your arms as the extremity?
If I were to rank like by body parts in terms of development, it's, my lower body, glutes, hamstring, quads far outclass my upper body. And
Okay.
then within my upper body, my back is usually the most developed, followed by chest, and then shoulders and arms are always pretty much terrible. So like part of that has to do with powerlifting. Like in raw powerlifting, big totals are built on big squats and deadlifts. So you are
Yep.
going to spend a little more time training your legs because a 10% increase on a squat and a deadlift is way more on a total than 10% increase on a bench. It's just that
Sure.
simple.
Sure.
If we were geared lifters, different story. Again, you get more out of a bench shirt. You spend more time training your upper body. So part of it was just that's what got me the best total that I could get back when I was still competing. You
Yeah.
develop those habits and you stick with them. Um, but yeah, I mean, my back is decent again relative to other body parts, but my arms, it's very stubborn. It's very difficult to get them to grow. And it's one of the few body parts. Like if you were to ask me, hey, like what gets them to grow, I don't know that I'd have an answer. Like
Okay.
I've trained them heavy. The best results I ever got was when I was training them heavy 1 day a week and then pump another day a week.
Okay.
And like kind of alternating between those. But it's funny because maybe only one of those is working. You don't
Yeah.
necessarily know, and so it's a little bit tough to figure out. I do believe in training arms heavy again, like 6 to 8 to failure. I
Okay.
do think that that's beneficial, but again, sometimes that could fuck with your elbows. Sometimes you want to get a little
Yeah.
more volume in, so it's a tough. Every muscle is tough to figure out if you don't have good genes for it,
Yeah. Yeah. But
for
you'll be
sure.
much more educated and much more experienced if you can get them to grow. Like you always used to say, I was a terrible bencher, so I know a lot about bench pressing now because you've
Yes.
had to figure out every last detail. You
Yes.
scraped, scoured the earth for all the best bench techniques because you weren't that good at it.
Yeah.
So, when you're really gifted, people get lazy. They don't really they get complacent. They don't really work as hard as they should. I was gonna say also to your point earlier, I think maybe both of us don't stay as consistent as we both need to see the growth in the right areas because we are both advanced lifters. So it's not like we have this 6-month honeymoon phase of a brand new lifter that you're going to get gains for no reason because you just started lifting and it's great. It's that magical first 6 months, but now we have to do some different stuff and we have to
Yes.
be more consistent, more frequent and more consistent for longer. I think,
Yes.
we might ramp up arms for like 6 weeks, but who gives a shit about 6 weeks?
No,
It's
it's gotta be
about
like a year.
6 months.
Yeah, it's gotta be like a year.
Yeah, it's six
Yeah.
months straight. It's a year
Yeah.
straight. And it's,
Yeah.
not relenting when, the going gets tough and you're not seeing that much gains or whatever. But yeah, I was thinking about your routines and I was thinking about doing triceps first. So I didn't know about this whole one lower body day a week, which I think is brilliant,
Mhm.
honestly. But if you're gonna do 3 separate days, I would do arms every day, especially if they're not back to back days, or if
Yeah,
they are,
they're
obviously
not.
biceps, triceps, back to back. But do your tricep, say rope push downs, for example, do them high rep first. Get the elbows warm, get a lot of pump and fatigue into the triceps immediately. Okay, so 25 to 30 reps for 2 sets as soon
Okay.
as you walk in the gym. Then do all your press work. They're going to be cooked. They're going to be, you're not going to be able to press as much, but your arms will be getting more work throughout the whole session. And then time is a constraint for you. But I think time constraints are a pretty good thing. So time at the end of it, you want to choose two moves that are going to be get you the most bang for your buck. So I was thinking the again, experiment with these moves because every person gets different results from each move, right? So like somebody might like barbell curls very much and someone does not at all. They'll get
Yeah.
nothing out of it. So you're gonna have to run it for a couple of weeks and see if you like it. But moves that have worked for me and have gotten me growth recently after, again, being a lifter for 15, 20 years. The overhead rope tricep extension,
Mhm.
and I know your shoulder mobility is not incredible, so that might be a
But
hard
there's ways
position
to
for you
set it
to get
up. I
into.
mean, you could set it up instead of where it's underneath you, where it's directly behind you, and that usually works perfect for me.
Can you lean back where, you kinda, like, cut the distance? Because you kinda want the angle. People will take the rope and turn away from the tower, and the trolley's kinda high. We still want the trolley low, but can you, like, get a small one of those half-back benches where you can lean back against it, so it gives you a little bit of daylight for your shoulder mobility? I think that would
Hmm.
work for you because, getting your arms back like that is gonna matter more, and having the tension pull you to the floor to increase the deflection in your elbow is gonna
Well,
really
that's the
make a
reason
big
why I
difference
like
to
those
pull you up.
rolling dumbbell tricep extensions, because it
Yeah,
creates a
like
similar
the
angle, but
California
you're on your
skulls.
back.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
do it with an easy bar. It's California skulls. I've been liking the cables a lot, trying to figure out a way you don't have to do single arms. I like single arm stuff, but it's just time consuming. It's very time
Yeah.
consuming.
Yeah.
How about the incline dumbbell curls where you have the incline bench, maybe 2
Oh, I
clicks
love
up?
those.
Yeah, those are a great one. Um, what I saw recently, which I've been doing a lot lately, is the turn away from the cable tower bicep curls. So instead of facing the tower,
Hmm.
where you don't get much tension at the bottom, turn away from it. So whether it's an easy bar, it's the cables beneath your legs, between your legs, or if it's a single arm, the tower is behind you. So at the
Hmm.
very bottom, you're still getting a ton of tension. And it's
Okay.
been helping a ton for me. I've been getting a lot of noticeable gains on my arms because of it. Um, I do love some of the classics, like the barbell curls. I think it's just a fantastic variation. Um, I'm seeing some cool strategies these days where instead of coming all the way to the bottom, they'll have like a forward angle, like a slope. So it's kind of like as you come to the bottom, you never let the tension completely go out instead of coming all the way to your sides.
Hmm.
So it's that's pretty cool as well. But you have to kind of figure out which ones work best for you. And the way I gauge it is the pump, the fatigue, the soreness, and then eventually the growth. So if you're not measuring once a month, it's really hard to figure out whether they're getting better or not.
I'm
Because
also a big believer in just pictures. Like I when I
yeah,
was not doing jujitsu and lifting a ton, I was going back through my progress pictures. My arms and shoulders were noticeably bigger.
okay,
Like noticeably bigger. Like I would say
yeah,
more than any other two body parts, those were the ones that were noticeably much bigger. And I
okay,
think it's if you're focusing on doing jujitsu, you still will generally go in and hit your big lifts, but you're tired. So you don't do
yeah,
arms to say, you know what I mean? You're like, oh fuck, I'm tired. I'm just going home. So you'll
yes,
still do your presses, you'll still do your squats or your pulls or whatever, but then you're like, oh, fuck, I'm fucking shot. I'm out of here, and you just go home, and that's not ideal for putting on size. But again, as someone who's coached athletes for a number of years, I also understand that you know the stuff that's at the end of the program you have to expect almost to not get done sometimes because they're going to be so
yes,
tired from practicing their sport, or if they're
yeah,
students, you know what I mean, they're pressed for
sure,
time. It could become a little bit more challenging. Whereas when you're like going in and you're not doing, you don't have anything else to do but lift. Well, I mean, obviously I have other things to do, but I mean, training wise,
sure,
nothing else to do but lift. You could spend a little bit more time on your arms, let's say, and not be mentally burnt. And
yeah,
honestly, the thing that always hurt me with arm training is it's just boring to me. Like, there's got to be a way
fair
to
enough.
make it mentally stimulating. Like, I just when training hurts, I'm better at it. I just
Um,
rise to the challenge. I fall to the level of the opposition, or rise to the level of the opposition. Like there's that Italian voice in my head. Don't be a fucking pussy when I'm squatting or when I'm doing legs. I'm like,
sure.
ah, and I push past it. But with arms, I'm like, I'm falling asleep. There's no pain. There's no suffering.
How about your rest periods? I was considering that for another, strategy for you is like, since you're either the time constraints are real, when I do barbell curls, for example, if I keep my rest to 45 to 30 seconds, I am get cooked and it really starts to become agonizing.
Okay.
So you can find the pain, but if you rest 90 seconds, 2 minutes, you're not going to get that same
No, and that's
sensation.
and that's the thing. At that point, usually putting arms last in the workout, like I want to go home. So the 2 minute rest
Yep.
period is like, come on, like what are we doing here?
Nope.
Like,
Nope.
and it's not like it's metabolically demanding enough to where you feel like, okay, like you do heavy hack squats or something with 4 plates on the machine, you're
Yeah,
gonna be a little fucking cooked. You're gonna be like, it's I need to take some time here to get my heart rate down.
yeah.
But like arms, you're like, there's no way, man. My heart rate's like 120 at the end of the set.
No,
I
no.
don't, I don't need to rest. Like this is absurd. And in retrospect, it's why I think so many bodybuilders took a high volume approach with arms, just because they could.
Yep. Yeah,
Just because you could
yeah.
do it. Like it's that simple.
That's why I think also front loading your sessions with the arm work. Like if one of your upper days is a back heavy day, that should be biceps up front, right? You just 2 sets of high rep, and that'll give you enough stimulus, enough metabolites, enough of a pump to kind of shift the priority when you're rowing, when you're doing the pull downs or pull ups. It'll give you enough fatigue that I think it'll carry over a lot because your back is pretty big. From the deadlifts, you have this base of mass in your back that you don't really have to prioritize it anymore. So you're gonna have to go into like a specialization phase for 6 or so months to really see dramatic growth, especially because genetically maybe your arms aren't meant to be that. Your legs grow like that.
Yeah,
Your arms just don't.
precisely.
John Meadows has some great content on arms. I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. Where the higher rep stuff for arms just works better, in my opinion. You can pepper in some low rep stuff, but 6 reps of a tricep push down, if your elbows don't get cranky, man, God bless you. It's like my elbows get cranky with really, really heavy, tricep and bicep stuff. So I get more growth personally from higher rep work. I get more satisfaction, like you said, the challenge of it all with higher rep work. And but again, to each their own.
Dude, John
Like,
Meadows is the only guy that I've ever looked at where I was like, I don't think he has to train this hard to see results. I just think that he's like a sadist.
yeah.
Dude,
But what a mild mannered, nice
his
guy. He's
like
like,
leg and back days
yeah,
are
gut
I,
wrenching.
I mean, dude, I you watch
Yeah,
like Jay Cutler train legs and he's very methodical and
yeah,
calm, and obviously he's tired, but it's not like, doesn't look like he is dying of some sort of horrible disease like that's actively eating his flesh alive or something. Like, dude, there are these videos of
yeah,
Dave Tate and John Meadows like training legs and back together that are, it's like, you guys are just a bunch of sick fucks. Like, I respect it, like, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't think you had to push that hard to grow. You just love to push. You just love to push. Like, dude,
but who knows what they would leave on the table if they didn't push that hard.
I understand. I
You know what I'm
understand that, but when you
saying?
consider it, for
You'll never
example,
know.
like Dave Tate at that point in his career was so banged up from powerlifting, and he just wanted to be numb at the end of the workout. It
Got
was
it.
just like, and God bless him. Like he's spoken about how he chases the void in training. Like he
Yes.
literally calls it the void.
Nothing.
Like he wants
Nothing.
to get to a point where he's like numb and just in some sort of weird extended universe that only he
Yeah.
has access to. You know what I mean? So and it's so different than someone like a Dorian, who Dorian Yates was chasing intensity, but not really fatigue. He's just trying to
Yes.
move more weight with good technique. Okay.
Sure.
Whereas with
Sure.
John Meadows, like, dude, his programs, like the amount of fatigue that they cause, like I could have never trained that way and also done jujitsu. I'd be
No.
destroyed. Like
No,
I
you're a
would
one trick
be
pony.
like his like his leg workouts, like the way he does like the triple drop set Bulgarian split squats. I mean, dude,
Terrible.
that is next level. Like you need a wheelchair to leave the gym. Like you are annihilated, okay, when you leave. It's not a game. It's not like, oh yeah, we're getting a little pumped today. It's like
Yeah.
you are devastated by the end of this thing.
Yeah.
No question about
You
it.
sh you can do that once a month maybe, but, like, to do that every leg workout, bro,
No,
that's,
dude,
like,
I
inhuman.
would
That's
contract like
inhuman.
some sort of like disease. My immune system would just fall apart. Like it's crazy. Like, and again, he's
Well,
so mild mannered, and like
yeah,
he clearly just like, and I mean this like respectfully. Like, I'm a John Meadows fan. I have
me
bought
too.
many of his programs. I was very upset when he passed away, and like, but that dude had a demon inside him that the only way it could be kept at bay was to like just beat it to death with the most horrifying sort of workouts that you could like him on a pendulum squat, like just going to the death. You're like, dude, you are one of a kind, sir. One of a
Yeah.
kind. There's a
Yeah.
video of him and Dave Tate doing these like box like these like block chain deadlifts where it's like there's like a plate on there and like hundreds and hundreds of pounds of chain. Okay.
Okay.
And you're seeing like when the chains catch, you would just see them like, ah! Like Dave Tate's just throwing up everywhere. Like he's literally crawling on the floor and just throwing up in like in the Elite FTS gym. It's like this beautiful gym. He's like vomiting. He's just like completely unconscious. You know, like John Meadows like a little bit smaller, probably better condition. Like he's in bad shape, but he's at least vertical. He's at least standing
Yeah.
upright. And you're like, you guys are a bunch of crazy bastards. Like you just see it. You're
Yeah.
like, that is unbelievable. Like it's a level of intensity that few have ever reached. And again, coming from more of a strength training background, not a bodybuilding background, my intensity was always let's lift this heavy ass weight, not let's see how deep we can go into the pain cave and not get rhabdo.
Yeah.
You know, but like I will
Yeah.
say this about the John Meadows programs, it, the high intensity stuff is usually very low volume. If you ever bought any of his programs or anything,
Yeah.
like, you know,
I have.
the Bulgarian triples drop set is like his famous leg workout torture set. But like, you're not repeating that. It's a triple drop each leg, and then it's over. And then it's like
Yes.
leg
No.
curls. Okay. You know, he's not like, you're not like doing close stance high bar squats after that, where you're just gonna, you may literally die. I mean, the bar may literally take your head off. So,
Yeah, there's one devastating move, and then the rest of it is kind of like,
yes.
just true accessory.
He
True
he
accessory work.
programmed it in a very intelligent way insofar as he would have an explosive movement, like heavy weight moved explosively. He would program it in all the time. He always had like an activation pump sort of exercise at the very beginning. He would have like pump work. He would train the muscle under a stretch, and then he would do like a devastating. He had a high intensity technique, he called it. And
Okay.
typically, like once you got 3 to 3+ weeks into one of his programs, all of those techniques would be in each workout,
Got it.
with the exception of
So you
maybe
have like,
arms. Maybe arms. The one
so
time I tried to follow a John Meadows program to the letter, um, I got tendonitis. My elbows couldn't handle. Uh, my elbows just couldn't handle like the arm volume back then. Like it was
you
just
got
like
it.
my
Got it.
elbows were just cooked. Like I just couldn't
Yeah.
do it. Like it was it was more than I needed to grow.
Yeah.
I probably
Yeah.
could have cut the arm day out and just put like half the sets on a back or on a push day or a pull day, and I probably would have been fine. I just remember by the end of it, like doing curls and like my elbows were like numb, dude. Like it was just like
Yeah.
this is not working for me.
But he did say something recently, but not recently, but he said something I saw recently about leg training. He goes, most guys especially will just stop before you actually get to the money sets. Like when you start to push your legs, it really challenges who you are deep down. I
Oh
feel like
yeah, yeah.
it's you have to question your existence for the pain for most people at least. Some people are outliers who have a certain tolerance for fatigue, which I'll tell you a quick story in a minute. But when you start training legs really hard and you get into like some deep water, it's really mentally challenging, and your legs can keep going. Your legs can really continue,
That's the hardest part.
whereas your brain shuts you down. Your brain is saying, "This is bad. We have to stop this
Yeah,
now," and you have to just kind of like persevere. Those sets are the most satisfying. Like when you get after, I find myself when I push myself to a nauseating amount and then I stop the set and that burn goes away. I'm like clamoring to get back to the next set almost. Like I want to keep doing more and more sets, even though my program is done. There's something very satisfying about that challenge. Like you said, it doesn't hurt as much, doesn't hurt enough. So like when it hurts, it sucks, but afterwards you want more. It's a sick
yes,
thing. I don't know
yes.
I don't, hard to describe. Maybe it's my experience only, but
No, I agree because
it's
the only way you can get to that feeling is to go through that. I feel that way about hard conditioning workouts, where
yeah,
when you do a really hard, like lactic threshold workout or aerobic power intervals, like afterwards, like you're so high from whatever chemical reaction was created in your body that
yep,
like you feel like literally like you're floating. Like, dude, I used to have my friends come over to my house. I've never told you the story before. Back when in my early 20s, and I had purchased a Prowler from Elite FTS, and we used to push the Prowler. And this is like when the Prowler first came out, so there was like no Prowler workout like online. Like there was no parameters. Like no one knew like this is how you push the prowler, right? Like had no idea like what to do. So I went to like Dick's Sporting Goods and I bought a couple of plates. I bought like two 45s and two 25s and some 10s and some 10s and 5s. And I remember the first time I pushed it, I took it out of the box, put it together, and I put plate and a quarter on each side. And I was very skinny at the time, but I was in insane cardio shape.
Okay.
Insane cardio shape. And I was probably like 190 pounds at the time. I lived on a dead end. You remember the street that I used to live on
Yeah.
when I lived in West Hempstead. You've been to my house. I pushed it like from my house all the way up to the intersection, took it back with the low handles. I think I did that one other time, and then I passed out on my front lawn.
Damn.
And I remember my grandfather was living with us at the time, and he's like upstairs watching me do this, and all of a sudden he was such a funny guy. He just opens the window, and was like, "Eric, what the hell are you doing down there?" And I couldn't even speak. I was like, sir, I'm okay, sir, I'm okay. And like, so we didn't know there's no like heart rate monitors, no one knew like this was too much rest. I'd never done a movement that was pure concentric. So I didn't understand the pump that you get from that. Where like
Yeah.
you're just from just moving, you just get such an awful pump that you get so fucking lightheaded. And I used to invite my idiot friends over, and we would do these workouts where you had to do like 8 sprints, like 4 with the high, 4 with the low, but you had to do medicine ball slams while the other guy pushed the sled.
Damn.
So there was like I would be terrified from the moment I woke up on Saturday until I pushed the sled. Okay. And we would just like fall asleep on the front lawn because like your legs hurt so much that you would find that a person would try to shift around to find a comfortable position, but it was impossible. Like the
Yeah.
blood had to get out of your legs.
Throbbing.
There was no other way to deal with it.
Yeah.
Everybody threw up. Everybody was throwing up
Prowler
from the sled.
flu. The
Yes.
prowler flu is real.
Yeah.
It really
We
is.
abused that prowler so much, Ian, that by the end of it, we were pushing it on pavement. We had to start like wearing sunglasses because there were sparks flying off the bottom of the prowler because the treads were so annihilated
Dude,
from being
yeah.
pushed on pavement
Yeah.
that it's like sparks are flying in your face. You're like, bro, just close your eyes, but then I can't see where I'm going, man. Like you didn't want to smash into a car. So people are putting on like sunglasses. It's like the middle of the night, you're pushing the sled. Dude, it was so brutal. It was so fucking brutal. But again, like I'm not even sure that it was productive, like in building my conditioning. Honestly, it was just insane. But
Yeah.
there were no parameters back then. No one knew. Like the thing had just come out.
Yeah.
Joe DeFranco wrote an article about how much he liked it, and I was like, I'm in. And I just bought the sled. And I remember searching like Prowler workout, and there was nothing. There was no video of this. So I'm like, let me just push it and see what happens. And I just overestimated the distance that I could do and the weight. It was horrible. Horrible.
I s I still don't know what the prowler really does for you. I guess it can make you more conditioned, maybe more mental toughness. It's like burpees, like, I don't know if it really does much. Like, maybe a heavy prowler, like a sled push, real heavy and slow and, like, maybe builds your quads. But, like, if you're running with the prowler, besides the puking, I'm not sure what kind of reaction it induces.
I would imagine it's definitely a phenomenal way to train anaerobic systems because you can get your heart rate up really high with that.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? So like it's very difficult to get your heart rate up high if you're well conditioned, or conversely, if your legs aren't well conditioned enough to maintain a high pace while running or biking to push your heart rate up. Okay, but that prowler, dude, I wasn't wearing a heart rate monitor back then, but dude, I'm sure my heart rate was like 200.
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure it was. From the angle that you're pushing it at, the sled itself, I think had to be like 70 something pounds. So you're putting
okay,
on, an additional 90 to in that case, what, 140 on it. It was
okay,
just so fucking hard, dude. Like
yeah,
it was so
grueling,
hard. Now, with
grueling.
that said, do we have time to jump into the physique of the week? You got what, 12
Yeah,
minutes? All right,
yeah, let's just seal the deal with physique
all
of the week.
right, all right. So this week's physique of the week, I actually was able to find some good information on this guy from a training perspective, and I was more impressed than I thought. Okay. He is a former 2-time World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Champion.
Okay,
Okay. A former 1-time, but a very long reigning 1-time World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion.
okay,
Okay. 6'3", 280 pounds lean. Okay. In his younger years, before becoming a professional wrestler, he was a legit bodybuilder, NPC bodybuilder. Okay.
Hmm.
Probably has the best physique in the history of pro wrestling. You can make an argument that he does. He's in the top 3.
Really?
Freakishly strong and totally insane.
Damn. Mr. Perfect?
The Ultimate Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior. I
Okay.
heard people hated him. I heard he was a dick. Is
He's
that
a polarizing guy. Some people
okay?
loved him, some people hated him. Okay. Pro
Alright.
wrestling is obviously full of carnies, and I don't think that he was a carny spiritually.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
sure there's a lot of guys that are third or fourth generation professional wrestlers that take it really seriously. And here's a guy that comes in and makes a lot of money and didn't even know what he was doing half the time, and or didn't care even to like learn the traditions. He's like, I'm here to make money, so are you. Let's do this. I think it probably rubbed a lot of guys the wrong way. You know what I mean? Now he passed away some time ago. I want to say at the age of 54. Had a heart attack, which if you've seen his promos and seen how he looked, not terribly surprising. God rest his soul.
No,
I'm not saying that
no.
I wished it on him. I certainly wouldn't. But 6'3", 280. So a tall guy. Okay.
That's hard to believe, by the way. That's hard to believe. I would say 230, 240.
No,
For
dude.
as lean as he
Look
was.
at
For as
he's
lean as he
so
was.
big, dude. He's
280?
so big. So big. Like a
But he
dude.
seems small compared to Hulk Hogan, because Hogan was what, 6'7",
Hogan was
6'6"?
6'5", 6'6", and in,
Okay.
in the 300s. So like, and that bulk, made him look a
Wow.
little bit bigger if they're both wearing shirts. But the Warrior, dude, his physique, he was so big, dude. Like his shoulders and pecs were so fucking big. Like it's really, when you look at him in his prime, it's actually startling. Like he would have definitely been a professional bodybuilder had he stayed that
Yeah.
course. There's no question
Yeah.
about it. Okay.
But
He has
like,
gorilla press slammed Hulk Hogan. That's a 303-pound human that he's pressed over his head. Okay. His best bench, 550.
really?
Okay. He has incline pressed 5 plates for 5,
Okay.
squatted 700 with a narrow stance, ass to floor. Like that type of quad dominant, like 80s bodybuilder squat. Okay.
Is this on video?
These are his some of the stuff's on video, some of it is numbers
Okay.
that he's recounted over the years, but
Okay.
he did release a number of training videos over the course of his
So
career.
it
Okay.
corroborates, it
Yeah.
proves his story, basically.
Strict barbell
Right.
row, 405 for 4. Okay.
Wow.
And he could do an old school clean to overhead press, then sit on a bench with no back and press 360 for 6.
Jesus Christ.
So we're talking about an era when, yes, there was steroids, but you still had to train hard to get strong. You still had to get big. You had to be strong. Okay. Now, there's been a number of different splits he's published over the years. I found 2 major ones. Okay. Uh, there was kind of like his get jacked split, and then his kind of like I'm on the road split, which I thought was
Okay.
interesting. Okay. So his mass split, Mondays and Thursdays, he did legs, which included squats and deadlifts. He started off with a close stance squat, 12, 10, 8, 2 times 6, 2 times 4.
Hmm.
Okay. Leg
Okay.
press, 4 by 6 to 10. Leg curl, 4 by 8 to 12. Leg extensions, 4 by 8 to 12. Deadlifts or stiff legs, 12, 10, 8, 2 times 6, 2 times 4. Okay.
Damn.
And calf raises, 4 sets of 8 to 8 to 12. This is Monday, Thursday. Okay. Tuesday, Friday, he did chest and back. Okay. Barbell bench, 12, 10, 8, 2 times 6, 2 times 4 with the occasional heavy single. Okay. Incline dumbbell, 4 by 8 to 12. Flat bench flies, 4 by 8 to 12. Hammer strength rows, 4 by 6 to 10. Behind the neck pull downs, 4 by 8 to 12. Pull downs alternating back to front, 4 times 8 to 12. Okay. And then weekend or the middle of the week, he would do shoulders and arms. Stiff-legged power clean to behind the neck strict press, like we discussed before. 5 sets of 4 to 10. Dumbbell laterals, 4 by 8 to 12. Bent over laterals, 4 by 12 to 15. Shrugs, 4 by 20. Preachers, 5 times 4 to 12. straight bar curls 5 times 8 to 12, dumbbell curls 5 times 10 to 12, tricep pushdowns, variety of angles, 10 sets of 10 to 15, and dumbbell overhead extension, 6 sets of 4 to 12.
Good lord.
This is berserker shit. That
I
is
mean, you need that kind of gear. Look, listen, the guy would have been enormous and muscular no matter what. Let's just say that. His
yeah.
genetics, I'm sure,
And
were,
he ate like a
well above
fucking
average.
like, dude, there's stories about the Ultimate Warrior, Ian, not to cut you off. Guys talk about how they would get to catering for a wrestling event. Okay. And the warrior would come up to you and be like, yo, dude, listen, can I just smell your food? And would like,
Why?
because he was dieting so hard that he was going
Oh,
crazy. And like
damn.
he would like almost like he was blowing a line of coke. He would like snort. He would like
Smell your
inhale
pizza.
the mist around your pasta, and then be like, yeah, and then
It
just
was
walk
like
like he was,
dodgeball.
yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So he dieted so hard, dude. He was so shredded. Like, you consider he's on the road. Like, dude, like, yes, he had great genetics, but the fucking guy knew how
Sure.
to eat, bro. He knew
Yeah.
how to eat.
I
Period.
wonder how much he was on, like how much gear he was on at
Very
that
hard to
point.
find. He spoke out against steroid abuse quite a bit and was very critical of the mass monster era of bodybuilding for taking it too far.
Okay.
You know, he was very
Okay.
much of the mind like, you've taken it too far, you're killing yourselves. It's insane. And he kind of says like he there's an interview where he tells a story that he wanted to go on PEDs, and he didn't want to name names, and I understand that. An Olympic shot putter that he used to train with told him, "You're not ready. Give yourself 5 more good years of training." And he kind of
Wow.
went back and trained for another 5 years before going on PEDs. So he knew how to train. Okay.
Okay.
The videos of him working out are insane, as you'd expect. Completely insane intensity. Didn't leave anything on the table. We're talking John Meadows tier shit, without question, in terms of just the agony of it. Okay. Now, his split on the road, there's less detail, but it was a 2-day split. Day 1, chest, delts, and arms. Day 2, back and legs.
Okay.
So whenever he'd get to a gym, he would just do the next day.
I love that approach, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I hate like assigning a certain day of the week to a body part because you're if you recover sooner, you can hit it sooner.
Yeah.
If you're as soon as you're ready to go again, go again.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I've been doing lately, and it's working really, really well. Where I was like, chest is Monday, gotta wait till Monday. Like, why?
And from
Why?
his
It,
perspective, okay, I might only get 3 hours of sleep trying to get to a show. I might be exhausted. I might not be able to train. Okay.
yeah,
Now maybe I only have a 2-hour car ride to the next town, and now I've got all day. Maybe I'll train twice that day. You know, if you're recovered. So stacking in some high intensity work, he like it says here that he might have done this 7 days in a row if he could have,
yeah,
because you don't know if you're going to be able to train the next day. So every
that's
day you
true.
can train, you do it. Okay.
Yeah,
And then, like you said, if you're a traveling pro wrestler in the 80s with none of the amenities they have now, you know, it might take you 2 weeks to get through a conventional 5-day split if
right,
travel really fucks everything up, which
yeah,
means now you might not have trained chest for like 10 days.
it's
Okay.
crazy.
So in this case, yeah, go in there, go fucking crazy, do what you got to do, and then get out. Important to note, he didn't build his physique that way. He maintained it that way.
Oh,
Okay. You know what I mean? So
okay.
like he built it with a very rigid structure with maniacal intensity. This is like when he was on the road. Okay. This is
Oh,
me trying to do my best to still look like the ultimate warrior that people are paying money to come see. Okay.
one thing that he did that I tried once in the past. I didn't like it. Maybe I'll try it again. Is chest and back on the same day. I
Very
don't know
hard.
if I love that.
I don't like it
I
either, dude.
just so draining. I feel like you can't give enough to each muscle group to do it justice. I just feel like I never got the groove with that, but I get the efficiency of it. You know, a nice
Yes.
push pull. You can superset things, actually superset things, and not be terribly inhibited by the fatigue from the prior exercise.
Yes.
So I don't know if I want to try it again. This inspired me to try it again, but I just like separating a full day for that muscle group
What
personally.
is tough about that type of split with both of these, but actually his legs as well, is it is mentally taxing. So look at his leg day: squats, leg press, leg curl, leg extension. Then you got to get back up for deadlifts.
Yeah, it's
You
crazy.
know, you know what I mean? Bench, press, flies, then you got to get back up to train back heavy again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, listen, that dude clearly had an overabundance of energy. All right.
Yeah.
No
Oh, yeah.
question about it. Okay.
Well, where did that come from?
So he claims that he never did it. He claims that he was a health freak and that he refused to partake in recreational
Wow.
drugs.
Hard to believe.
I'll say this. I consume retro pro wrestling content like a disease, okay? And
What does that mean?
there are no stories that I've heard of anyone saying I did coke with the Warrior.
Okay. So there's
Conversely,
no witnesses.
but let's put it this way: there are plenty of those stories about a lot of other guys.
Sure. Sure.
Okay,
Ric
we'll close it
Flair,
with
I heard, is
this.
a
Like
maniac, bro.
Bret Hart tells this great story about how he was going to wrestle we did wrestle the British Bulldog at SummerSlam 1992. Okay, and he had this whole match worked out. Vince McMahon was going to and British Bulldog's his brother-in-law, was going to let them headline in Wembley Stadium. Okay, and the British Bulldog's going to beat him for the Intercontinental title, and British Bulldog gets the summer off. SummerSlam was always in like mid to late August, and the whole summer, Bret Hart is calling the British Bulldog, and he's like, "We got to talk about this match," and he can't get a hold of him, can't get a hold of him. And then he finally sees him like in August, and he's like, "Where have you been?" And he tried to come up with an excuse, and he was like, "Actually, I've just been smoking crack with Jim the Anvil Neidhart for the past 2 months.
Oh my god.
Not
Yeah.
lifting, just straight
At least he's still
smoking
clean.
crack with Jim the Anvil
For how
Neidhart."
long? Was it
Yeah,
months?
just went on a 60-day crack binge. Okay. Came back still
Damn.
looking more jacked than me or you. It's totally unfair. But
That really is unfair. So
totally unfair.
jealous.
Totally unfair. But there's very few stories about there's stories about the Warrior being rude or stressed out or whatever. I don't know the context of them. He's not here to defend himself. I'm not going to dog the guy. He was always very honest. He was always very uncompromising. I respect both of those things about him.
Okay,
But
fair.
there are no stories that I've heard of him doing recreational drugs. Now, I'll close it with this. I know you got to go. His father also died at a very young age from a heart attack.
Wow.
And
So
according to his ex-wife, was widow, I should say, he always felt like he did everything with full intensity because he was always on borrowed time.
that's sad.
Like,
I
I'm going
mean,
to die at 55, so I got to get everything done, period.
genetics are funny because sometimes you're blessed and sometimes you're cursed.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
heart disease is an uphill battle. I know plenty of people who eat cleaner than you or I ever have. They exercise, they sleep well, they do all the right things, but still,
it gets him.
it's like an uphill battle.
It
It's
gets him.
scratching and
Yeah,
clawing against Father Time.
yeah, man.
Sucks.
All right, brother. I hate to end this on a bad note, but I know you said you have a hard out, so we got to go.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and
Good
gentlemen, it's
chat.
been great. We'll talk to you next week, and we got to talk more about the Ultimate Warrior next week because there's a lot of funny stuff. But I wanted to make sure we got that in.
Yeah.
Have a good week, everyone. Take care.
Take care.